Point Judith Pond is one of Rhode Island's jewels, a 4-mile stretch of crystal clear water bordering Narragansett and South Kingstown. Tucked up on the northeastern side is Champlain Cove, adjacent to a housing development called Briggs Farm.
A good number of people in this development have boats right here. They go fishing, they go boating, they pull tubes, water skiing, clamming, diving, you name it, they do it.
Jeff Mall is one of them. He's lived here for the past decade and is often out on the water in his 18-foot powerboat, enjoying the beauty of the cove and the larger pond beyond it. Over the years, Mall has seen an increasing number of buoys in the water, marking oyster farms approved by the state of Rhode Island. They vary in size, from just an acre or two up to 20 acres. It is land leased by the state and off limits to boaters and other shell fishermen.
2-3 years ago, another one appeared over here just across from us at Ram Island. The following year, that one doubled in size. Another one appeared on the other side of Ram Island. This past year, there's probably been a half a dozen or more permits that we've seen, and we're seeing these buoys pop up everywhere, and they basically just rope off an area and it's no longer public.
Mall says he has no issue with aquaculture itself, the official name for oyster farming, which has grown into a $4 million annual industry in Rhode Island, nearly all of it coming from the 52 oyster farms spread across the state's waters. It's the placement of one recent proposal that Mall and his neighbors oppose.
It's right across from our marina here. It's in an area where people do a lot of tubing, water skiing. It's in the expansion of the end of the cove, and that's generally where people do a nice wide sweep with their boat. And now the buoys, the farm that we're concerned with hasn't been authorized yet, but they've staked it out. And the buoys are showing that this thing is protruding a third the way into the cove.
That application from Narragansett resident David Bartley resulted in dozens of homeowners in Briggs Farm writing to the Coastal Resources Management Council, which is responsible for approval or rejection of oyster farm licenses. And we began asking questions last month about the proposal as well.
We try and avoid what we call user conflicts.
David Butel is CRMC's aquaculture coordinator and will decide whether to recommend approval of Bartley's application to the full council. The plan originally called for a 2.9-acre oyster farm just east of Ram Island in Champlain Cove.
Mr. Bartley has been debating on how to go forward, and he finally, a week or so ago, decided that he would like to try and address some of the objections that have come in by making the proposed area smaller, more narrow, give a little more room in the theoretical channel.
The revised proposal reduces the size by an acre, but Mall says does not fully address concerns about conflicting uses on the water. And that is the sometimes difficult balance between the state and the people who live near and use Rhode Island's waterways, particularly the coastal ponds. 12 years ago, Perry Razzo opened the Matunic Oyster Bar restaurant, which borders Potter Pond, just over from Point Judith Pond. Razzo gives weekly tours of his 7-acre farm, which is in an ideal location. It is shallow, making it easy for him and his employees to get in and out of the water to tend to the oysters. It also has good water flow in and out of the pond, which helps the oysters grow. The oysters in turn help improve the quality of the water where they live. Razzo's farm is well out of the boating channel, but Butel says he works with local officials to determine if proposed farms like Bartley's would be inconsistent with any activity on the water. If they receive approval from CRMC, the oyster farmers lease the designated area of water at $150 for the first acre and $100 for each additional acre. What was your feeling and your observation in terms of boat traffic and maybe water skiing or tubing and trying to get in and out of there?
My initial review of it was that there's sufficient room for both. I do acknowledge and understand that if somebody strayed and there were cages in that area, that would be a problem if they fell. I'm happy to see that Mr. Bartley wanted to make it narrower into the shallower part of the area, or the proposed area.
Once the farmer or the aquaculturist puts out his cages, these will be wire cages that at low tide might be a few inches below the surface of the water, or they might even be partially exposed. The water skier goes over the top of that. That can be some very serious damage. If somebody drives their boat over it, they can destroy their prop.
Once it's a leased area, it should be marked, and it should be marked clearly. That doesn't mean people understand what the markings is. It's a learning curve for them as well as for the aquaculturist. So usually they don't make that mistake twice.
State law caps the area of land for aquaculture in the coastal ponds to 5%. It's at about 3% right now in Point Judith Pond.
We do have limited space, so it's only going to grow so much unless we're going to change regulatory and statutory law, which I'm not convinced that will happen. However, there's room for considerably more than we have now.
Maul and his neighbors are concerned the Champlain Cove proposal might go through without their having a chance to object at a public hearing. For people who sit over there and say, well, you know, the state has a tin ear, they're not listening to us, we don't feel like we're getting a say in this process. Can you respond to some of those concerns?
I've heard that complaint. The process is very public. If we get one objection, it will guarantee that there is a CRMC public hearing.
That will likely come sometime this fall. On Point Judith Pond, Jim Hummel for the Hummel Report.